Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Breaking the Code, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Tim. This guy over here next to me is Jamie, and we're going to bring you a pretty awesome topic today. And with Breaking the Code, like as always, one topic, no script. This week, we are talking about 5 comic movies that have set the standard. Jamie, why don't you go ahead and take that away?
Oh, thank you for this one. I can't wait to get into this topic. So, again, this is no particular order.
Nope. And it's a personal preference here, too. So,
yeah, of course. You know, there's so many movies out there. We had the conversation about the oversaturation, if there was. But we have so many movies out there, like, it's spoiled. So, just narrowing it down to 5 is kind of hard.
See, now I really put some effort into thinking about this. Like, what 5 movies did I think were the ones that really set the tone for how comic book movies are portrayed today? But you're going completely off the cuff on this.
I'm going with what's in my head that I always remember.
Okay, so take it away.
All right, so with my first pick, we're going with Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Okay, so why do you choose that?
Because it set the standard of it doesn't need to be like the standalone movies do more than the group movies.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, every time the MCU has a villain or an anti-hero, they hit the mark every time. And with the Winter Soldier, they did just that. And it wasn't just a superhero movie, it was a spy movie. It was, a combat movie. The action, the suspense, everything that tied into that one single movie was just utterly amazing. I think it set the standard for the MCU as far as giving everyone their own idea to go forward with the movie.
Well, I could even take that a step further and say that the Winter Soldier helped set the standard for how serious an MCU movie could be. Because like you said, not only was it a comic book movie, but it was also a spy action thriller too. And it really did that very, very well. And that, I believe, was the Russo brothers' first go at a Marvel movie. Is that right?
I believe so. I think that
so.
was that was one of their first ones.
Yeah.
I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure too.
But with that movie having, Black Widow appear and, having Bucky Barnes in there,
yeah,
the list of the cavalcade of characters, but it didn't take away from the main, which is really nice. A lot of the other movies, they bring people in, like you look at like a Thor Ragnarok,
yeah,
for instance, and okay, it's a Thor movie, but why now Hulk's a big part of it? You got the Valkyries that are a big part of it. It's not really a good standalone to me.
Right. Okay. You thought Thor was like more of an ensemble, but Captain America, the Winter Soldier was really a Captain America movie.
Yeah. And if you took Captain America Winter Soldier and you had it as its own movie, it would still stand to go see. Like you could go see, Captain America the Winter Soldier and get what's going on.
It's still one of my favorite Marvel movies to sit down and watch, like you said, as a standalone, because that's exactly what it is. So I can see that. I can see how you feel that set the tone for what comic movies are represented like today.
Right.
Let me take you back in the past to the 90s to my first pick.
If it's Blade, I'm going to be so upset.
Get ready to be upset then, because it is Blade.
Oh, poor you.
No, dude. Blade is the Marvel movie that put Marvel movies on the map. Because, before that, what did you have? You had the Spiderman television show from the 70s that was super duper low budget. You had the Fantastic Four bookmark film that was made, where the actors were told they were making this big budget Fantastic Four movie when it was only made for $1 million. And it was just made so that way the company could hold the rights to the film. Then you had the Captain America movie from the late 80s, early 90s that was absolutely atrocious. However, the Red Skull work and prosthetics and things like that were super awesome. And the list goes on. However,
no, you hang on. Before you go into that, can we not forget the amazing casting of just not only Dolph Lundgren as the Punisher, and the casting of who Nick Fury was?
Okay, so
running in slow motion.
Nick Fury, the Hasselhoff, Zandu Hasselfrau, him aside, and the wonderful casting that was Dolph Lundgren in The Punisher. The rest of Marvel's movies were not very good at all. They were cringeworthy at best, and they were so bad it's good at worst. But Blade, when Blade came out, it was not advertised as a comic book movie. It was advertised as a horror movie, and in real tiny letters as the credits are rolling through during the time when Tracy Lords is taking the dude through the underground club and he's mixing and mingling with all these vampires. You see right underneath characters based, Blade and Deacon Frost based off of characters created by so and so based on Marvel characters, and you're like, wait a minute, this is a Marvel movie. Blade was amazing. I don't care what anybody says. Blade was fantastic, and it set the tone at that time for what an adult superhero movie could be. And it did a wonderful job of that. Blade 2 and Blade 3 aside, the original Blade, Wesley Snipes was the perfect casting choice for that, and it showed people that horror movies could be comic book movies and the other way around, and it was wonderful. And it's still a cornerstone in what a comic book movie should be.
I mean, it's not a bad choice. The only reason I give Blade such a hard time was because of the full Trinity, and they had to paint his eyes on at one point because he wouldn't open them for.
I think that was in Blade 3 when he was just absolutely done with everything
and evading taxes.
we don't talk about that though. That is.
Oh, I do.
Okay, so what's the next movie on your list for what you think set the standard for what comic book movies are?
Okay, since we're going back.
Okay.
And we're gonna, I don't know, set the standard for adult movies. I'm going with Thomas Jane's Punisher.
Oh, that's a great choice.
That one alone set a standard of violence, more gore than anything. Mm-hmm. It was a rip your heart out, drag it down the road kind of movie,
dude.
And it was great. I mean, we got Jigsaw in a later film, which wasn't really that good.
We don't count Warzone.
Yes, we do.
No, we
count all of them because they were all made. Oh my God. If you can count Blade, we're counting Warzone.
But Blade was a success.
And Warzone had its own success in its own mind.
Ray Stevenson was awesome as Frank Castle, but that was it.
Yes. Yeah. Especially when he broke his nose back in. Yeah. Anyways, but no, with Thomas Jane, John Travolta in it, the whole cast was amazing from start to finish. The action never stopped, the storytelling never did. The way he just, I want to say, MacGyvered most of his traps out of nowhere was just amazing.
One of my favorite scenes in that movie is when Travolta's wife is sitting in the car. It's at the funeral of their son. Mm-hmm. And Travolta's right-hand man comes up and is giving him the information. It's a cop named Frank Castle, this and that. He's on a vacation in Puerto Rico with his family. And he's like, well, it's a shame that he'll never come back from that. And the wife is like, wait, his family, his whole family. And he's like, are you sure? Is that what you want? Mm-hmm. Make it happen. Holy cow. Now, the cool thing about the Punisher, Thomas Jane's Punisher, is all of that was done with practical effects too. And it's superb stunt work. And that, dude, on its own.
Dude, my favorite scene of that, like, there's a lot of great scenes, but one that I always remember is when he's got the guy hanging by his feet, and he's like, "Yeah, when you use a blowtorch."
Oh, with the popsicle.
And he's like, "It feels like your skin's turning to ice." And he's like stabbing him with the popsicle. Yeah. He's like, ah! He's just running.
You really are demented.
Flying around in there, it's great. And then Kevin Nash as the Russian.
Dude, that was what Thomas Jane did all of his own stunts in that movie too. So when he got thrown through the wall and he hit the wall and Kevin Nash is coming after him, pulling himself away, that was amazing. You know, that had to hurt.
Yeah, that looked like it was bad.
Okay, so the Punisher, Thomas Jane's Punisher. Now that brings me to a little side note. When you and I sat down for an episode of Grady Meat and watched the bootleg universe, and we saw Dirty Laundry. And
Yes.
that's the unofficial continuation of Thomas Jane's Punisher. Guys, if you've never seen that, go to the YouTube page. It's Bootleg Universe. Jamie will put a link in the description below so you guys can go check it out. Absolutely astounding to watch. It is one of the greatest independent short films based on comic material I've ever seen. So, okay, with that being said, the next one on my list is Spider-Man 2.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at this time you had what the major Marvel properties, and that was X-Men and Spider-Man cruising around. And Fantastic Four was going to at that time, but it wasn't near as successful as X-Men and Spider-Man. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man was a brilliant piece of work, and it was so good that Sony greenlit a second one with Alfred Molina doing Dr. Octopus and James Franco gearing up to his debut as the snowboarding goblin in Spider-Man 3. However, with that being said, Spider-Man 2 at that time, I think, set the standard for like what Blade had done before. Spider-Man 2 upped the bar and set the tone for what comic book movies would be from there forward, or at least what a good one would be. It had amazing character development. The acting in it was top-notch. Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus was absolutely amazing. James Franco,
so good they brought him back.
Right. James Franco was a lot better in this than he was in the first Spider-Man. I think that it's one of his better performances. Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst's Peter Parker and Mary Jane relationship culminating to the end, go get him, Tiger, is absolutely fantastic. J. Jonah Jameson, J.K. Simmons, wonderful again. The whole movie is next to perfect. And I think that's why it has a high 90s score, 98%, I believe, on Rotten Tomatoes. But that being said, I think it's one of the best superhero movies that have ever been made.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that one. Like, I remember at one point when I saw the first trailer for the very first movie, and I had
was that the one with the Twin Towers in it?
That was the original one.
Yep.
And I remember seeing that, and seeing that movie was great. I still remember where I was when I saw it, you know, and then seeing the second one just topped it.
Dude.
And it like, as great as William Dafoe was, Alfred Molina, Alfred. Okay, I can talk today.
Alfred Molina.
There you go, that guy.
Butterfingers.
Yes, did such a great job. And as Doc Ock, it was just astounding. I couldn't stop. It was amazing. It was spectacular.
Palm of my hands.
Yes. And then even the ending where, like, and I love the fact that they brought him back for the new one, and I love that they still use the same dialogue.
Some of brilliant but lazy.
Yes. I hear you're brilliant but lazy. He's like, well, I'm trying to do better. And then he asked him again, he's like, how are you, my boy? And he's like, trying to do better. And I was like, yes.
Better. Yep, exactly.
I don't think anyone really caught that until like the memes started coming out for it.
And it was really important in No Way Home to have Octavius's heroic redemption in there, just like at the end of Spider-Man 2. You know, in No Way Home, he had the same thing, because what did he do? He turned sides and helped 3 Spider-Men, and it was absolutely amazing. So, the legacy lives on. So, what's your next one? What's your third choice here?
All right, I'm taking a big old left turn here for you guys that are watching, and a lot of people aren't going to agree with me, and I do not care, but I'm going with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie.
Which one?
The original with Ivan Ooze.
Okay, all right.
No, I was going to go with the new one that they totally shambled.
So this is an interesting choice. Why do you choose this as one that set the tone for what comic book movies are today?
Because it gave unknown comic movies a chance.
Okay.
At that time. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that the original show was in Japan, and there were more comics.
Super Sentai, right?
Yeah, Super Sentai. And there were comics before it.
Mm-hmm.
So they based it off that, made like 400 episodes. And then it came to America where they did 400 episodes.
Yeah.
And, you know, they
per
began to move.
season.
Yes. Oh, I watched them all. I don't really care. No shame. I'm 30 and still watching them. But I'm still reading the comics. But it set a standard of, there's different outlets.
Mhm.
There's different ways to go for me, and that was one of the major ones to me that stood out.
Okay.
I can go back and rewatch that movie and still have a good time. Watching them kick butt, listening to "Take Your Picture," like it's great.
And seeing the movie Suits was a
Oh
game
my
changer.
God. And you know what? They even incorporated some of the stuff from the comics into the movie because no one knew they had headlights on their flashlights on their helmets, and they couldn't pour anything on there.
What's going on?
Yeah, and it's like they could do that. When can they do that? Where did that come out of?
The Zords in the movie were awesome too, and as much crap as Ivan Ooze gets, he was the perfect Power Ranger villain for the.
He was the perfect Apocalypse when we needed an Apocalypse. If anyone doesn't understand that reference, go look at what do you call it? X-Men Apocalypse.
Right,
Ivan Ooze set the standard.
There you go.
For that horrible movie.
I can see that, and you know what? To go into that a little more, MMPR, the movie, really took from its source material, which was the Americanized version of Power Rangers, and did it some serious justice too.
Yes, it was going in a state where there was a team change. There was a lot of movement between cast members.
Yeah.
It set a standard for not only the show too, but for people that loved it. And to me, like, in a way, when you loving comics, loving everything else like we do, you want that. You want that feeling. You want that nostalgic feeling no matter what you do.
Yeah. I think it was a pretty good love letter to fans at that time.
Yes.
And even now, looking back at it, just thinking about it, versus the reboot of the live action Power Rangers that was done a couple of years ago. That wasn't that bad.
No, it was just not good.
It was okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so you've got MMPR, the original, as your third choice. Now, again, this isn't in any particular order.
No.
So with that being said, my third choice is a darker film, but this one, I think, set the bar so high that I don't think it has been broken since, with the exception of the movie poster behind me. And that would be The Dark Knight.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad you picked that one because I was going to put that in my, but I got a backup. Always got a backup.
The Dark Knight. So Christian Bale as Batman coming into movie number 2. We see Scarecrow right in the beginning, and he's taken out. And then Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker is so iconic. What he did for his performance, making it the way that he did, the anarchist, with the dry sense of humor. Oh, I'm gonna make this pencil disappear.
I wish I could do that trick. And really,
I thought that was absolutely hilarious. And you want to know how I got these scars?
And the story always changed.
Always changed. Every bit of that movie is quotable from Heath Ledger's performance. It's a movie that I don't think any other individual character's movie could ever top. Winter Soldier may be coming into a close second, right behind it. Winter Soldier would probably be Marvel's The Dark Knight, but The Dark Knight, I think, is the quintessential solo superhero story.
Nice. Like I said, like you were saying, like you can't go without picking a line from that movie that just sticks in your head.
Exactly.
And the performance that Heath Ledger gave is you can't you can't imitate. Like,
no,
you can't redo it. No matter if your name is Jared Leto or Jared Leto, you can't pick.
It's a performance that people base their performance off of.
Yes. It's one that you can look at. Like, we got the new Batman coming out. I'm sure there's some people that even someone who's playing the Riddler. I forget. I can't remember his name. Sonny always reminds me. Sonny, I wish you were here right now because I can't remember.
Sonny, we always wish you were here.
Yes. But back to what I was saying.
Okay,
so like you can't sit there and say he didn't take some of that, like watch that and be like, I got a twist there. I can manipulate this.
Yeah.
I can make this my own kind of deal. Like that's the standard that I want to be when I go into this movie.
Exactly.
Not a gangster Joker.
Right. Right. Well, like with Ledger's performance of the Joker, that a lot of people say that attributed to his eventual passing. And I can see that to a point because, he locked himself in a hotel room and he wrote in this book and just put himself in the mind frame of the Joker and was method acting throughout the course of the entire movie. And coming out of that, I think Joaquin Phoenix even said that it took him a long time to come out of that frame of mind. You know what I mean? So doing a performance like that and doing it so well that you get the Best Actor award posthumously it's something else, man. And it's like I when I think of Jokers from as far as movies go, Nicholson's is one of the top. Hamill's is another as far as his voice acting goes, and Ledger's is right up there. I don't think anybody else is better than that. You Romero fans can say all you want to. That man refused to shave his mustache and it was painted.
Okay,
black.
First off, I'm a Romero guy.
Uh-oh.
Second off, you leave the mustache alone. Because some of us can't grow it.
Some of us can grow it too well.
Yes. So you leave Romero alone.
Romero's Joker was perfect for the time. Nicholson's Joker was perfect for the time. Ledger's Joker, I think, is
perfect for all time.
Overall, absolutely. And Leto's
don't say
Joker is
don't you dare.
Needs
Moving
therapy. Okay, yeah. So your fourth choice. What do you think?
So this isn't a personal favorite of mine, but we're talking about comics and basically, are the best. It started a revolution. Okay. And with that, I'm going with the original Iron Man. That kicked off the MCU as we know it today. That started the 22 plus movies or 20 something plus movies now. I think they're in
the 30s now.
We're now got series on Disney Plus. We now have everything. That movie cultivated a culture like no other.
That was on my list, but I took it off for something else.
Ooh, look at you.
Yeah.
It's just, some of us say Snyder. Not me. I was just somebody else. But no, Robert Downey Jr.'s performance in it, when you think of people that are the character, you think of Heath Ledger.
The role. Yeah.
You think of Heath Ledger's Joker. You think of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. If you try to tell me another Iron Man, you Tom Cruise fans can get lost.
Absolutely. There's the door.
Yeah. This guy personified what Tony Stark was. He is Tony Stark. He walks around like Tony Stark. He doesn't drink like Tony Stark anymore, thank God. But he is Tony Stark. And, just everyone can kind of give like the second movie.
The second movie's not
rundown
because
Whiplash
is a good movie.
Yes, but like a lot of people didn't like the character. It was like, come on, like okay, it's fine. Like I wasn't a fan, but he also started, and this is why I love it so much. He started that end credit scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially like originally it was the X-Men that did it the first time, but this took it and ran with it. They wanted people in seats to the end. So him showing up in like Incredible Hulk.
Right. And the only reason he did that is because he was there at the time.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Robert, you want to come in and do this real quick? Oh, yeah, sure. And they ain't going to pay attention to it. Guess what?
Right. And everyone sat. Now everybody sits to the end of every single Marvel movie knowing there's going to be 1 to 7 end credit scenes.
True Marvel fans stay to the end.
No matter how bad you got to use the bathroom.
Okay, so Iron Man is your fourth choice. Now, we're going to stay in the same vein. We're going to stay in the MCU. But for my fourth choice, where Iron Man may have set the tone for what the MCU would eventually become, the movie I'm about to say, I think, showed everybody that a major ensemble cast could be put together from several different solo movies, and that would be the Avengers. So
Yes.
with the Avengers, right? When Iron Man came out, and at the very end, when Sam Jackson is sitting there and he's like, "You're a part of a bigger universe," major explosion. I
Right.
want to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. What? And then that's all everybody talked about until the Incredible Hulk came out, and then you see Tony Stark coming in talking to General Ross, and he's like, "I want to talk to you about this Avengers thing." Whoa, wait a minute. And then in the opening credits of Incredible Hulk, what did you see? You saw Stark Industries all over the place. And the serum that was used on Blonsky was a variation of what was used to make Captain America, right? So they were already planting seeds as the movies were going on. And then with Thor and the end credits scene for that, and then Captain America, the first Avenger, with the Tesseract and all that stuff. And then they're showing you that the Avengers are coming. Dude, when I went to see the Avengers, I was married at the time. Me and my ex-wife and her 2 kids went and saw the Avengers. We made it there with enough time to get at the end of the line inside the building. I took pictures of that, and people were lined up going down the way. It was an event. This was something that people had been waiting decades to see. And then when you get in the theater, we saw it in 3D. We had to. And then when you get in the theater and you sit there and you watch this and you see Hawkeye from Thor, he's there. Where's Barton? The Hawk? He's up in his nest. Right? And it just goes. And then Loki comes in. Dude, you know this movie means business. And it was that for 2.5 hours. This was the event of the summer, the event of the decade. And it showed people that a combined universe of solo character movies could be put together and made into something that was very entertaining and very awesome and very, very profitable. And from there forward, we have the MCU as it is now.
I mean, that's a good pick. Avengers, I remember like just seeing it. I didn't go to the theater, I think, to see it because I seen how crazy everything was at the time, so I kind of waited.
I was there opening weekend.
I've been to a lot of the openers, and a lot of them have been crazy, but the Avengers one, I was like,
I'll sit this one out
just to see how it goes. But no, like, having Barton, all of them in there, it, and the greatest thing is a lot of these characters are still relevant now.
Exactly. And they're just now finishing their complete story arcs. Like Hawkeye show just ended at the end of last year.
Yeah. And, you still got Loki. You had Loki running. You have another Thor coming out. Like, it doesn't seem like it's ever going to end. And I don't care. They could take my money until it doesn't.
Exactly. Okay. So right now you have Captain America, Winter Soldier. The Punisher, Thomas Jane's, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the first, and Iron Man. So I'm very curious to see what your final selection for 5 movies that shaped how comic book movies are made today is.
Okay. You need to have an open mind about this, because I will go into detail on why I'm choosing this.
Now I'm curious.
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Okay. All right.
The reason I picked this is it goes to show there's more than one idea when it comes to comic book movies. There's a different vision. There's a different idea. We had the Whedon version, which is more melted down, laid back, comedy. When you got that cut of Zack Snyder, it shows how much, it goes to show how much fans love this culture because they pushed for years.
Release the Snyder cut. Yep.
That made a movement to get this movie out. The Warner Brothers gave him the money to finish what his vision was. He left
during COVID protocol too.
Especially.
Yeah.
Turned it into a 4-hour theatrical stream right to the HBO Max. And it just goes to show what could have been. You had the Injustice storyline in there, basically.
Darkseid in there, dude.
Darkseid being in there. And Darkseid just was like, oh my God, like there's no way of really putting it. Steppenwolf, amazing. Better
I
than
didn't
what he
like the
was.
way he sounded in the 4-hour version versus
Yes.
yeah.
No, I mean, you're going to take some things and you're going to lose some
Yeah.
things. But
Yep.
overall, it gives you the idea that you can take one idea, but it can have several different visions in it. And that's what happened. And I
Yep.
think a lot of that is stemming what DC's doing now. And they're trying to restart and re-kickstart everything they're doing with their whole DCEU line.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I thought it was personally amazing, but I think as showing basically what comic book movies made of us, it showed that if we kind of like band together, we can kind of get what we want out of it because we are spoiled.
That's
that
right.
sense.
If we put our differences aside and
yes,
are as
we
passionate
became
as we
one.
Exactly.
And that's what we need in life. And like Justice League is unite.
Yeah.
And that's what everyone did. And it showed a different side of the comic book fandom that I have never seen.
It's very true.
You have a lot of people that are in the MCU that are just like, hey man, I watched the movies and this and that. And no one's asking for release the cut of, Thor Dark World.
That's very true. Thor Dark World wasn't a bad movie either.
Yeah, but no one's asking for a release for it. A new one,
yeah.
a different vision.
Give us the director's cut of Thor Dark World.
Exactly.
Wow.
But to me, that was one that everyone band together. It made a totally different movie, a different concept. Yeah. We got more out of it. Yeah. And to me, it was one of those ones that, just cultivated. Once they said it was coming out, everybody from Jason Momoa to Henry Cavill. We got,
release the Snyder cut. All
they're
of
like
them were doing it.
They're literally like, we've seen it. We need this released. Like, we know what happens, and we want you to see it. Even they got involved.
Yeah.
You don't even see that. Like, some people will show up to Comic-Con and be like, "Yeah, I'm cool. I'm the Falcon," but like, they never sat there and said, I want my own thing, or I need I want this to be mine. Like, this is the idea that we have here. Make it happen. And they did for this. So I think it goes to show that if you basically fight hard enough and be united in it, you can make things happen. I still want to release the Dark World cut, though. Just saying. MCU, get on it.
Jamie, I think you said all that really needs to be said about Justice League, and I couldn't agree more with you. However, the movie that I have for my final pick, I think, is the quintessential comic book movie that was done so well that people realized that a movie based off of comic book characters could be taken seriously, and it made you believe a man could fly, and that would be Superman.
And you know what the funny thing is? I was going to take that one. But I knew it was on your list, and I was like, I can't. So that's why Justice League came in.
I am a huge Spider-Man fan. Spider-Man is my number one. Moon Knight is my number two. But as far as movies go, the first one I'll recommend to anybody that's never seen a comic book movie, sit down and watch Christopher Reeve's Superman, 1978. It is the greatest comic book movie ever made. It has everything from drama to suspense to action to romance. It's a wonderfully crafted movie. It is beautiful from start to finish. Dr. Moreau's performance as Jor-El. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It is fantastic. It is superb. I can't think of any more adjectives
Superman
to put to this movie. I think it's one of the greatest love stories ever on screen. Superman. Yeah. When you think of the movie, you instantly think of the theme song, and everybody knows that theme song. And this movie has planted its legacy so well that it is referenced in everything. I mean, in Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire's, when he's running in the fair setting, when they're having the fair in Times Square, what's he do when he's running away? He's pulling his shirt off and he's got the Spider-Man suit underneath. Who does that? Superman does that.
Every hero.
But Superman started it. So in Christopher Reeve's Superman, Richard Donner's it for all you people that need to know who the director is.
Speaking of cuts, Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut was still my favorite.
It's great. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. Superman 2 is a favorite of mine as well, but Superman...
I was just bringing it up because of Donner. That's why I was like, don't forget.
But I mean, Superman, dude, even though it took so long for them to get him up into the Arctic where he creates the Fortress of Solitude by chucking the crystal, and then he goes in there and his father's like, so, speak to me. Ask me any questions you want. And he's like,
right.
Why am I here? Who am I? Who are you? And it just goes. And then you see him standing there and flying towards the screen and whoop. And then Christopher Reeve's performance as Clark Kent, he reshaped who Kent was. And that was used as a standard for Clark Kent from there forward. That was seen in Smallville, not so much in Man of Steel and stuff like that, but I mean, it was there. And even Christopher Reeves himself was turned into a character after he had his accident, and was a scientist in Smallville. Too. Exactly, yeah. So I mean, you cannot get better than Superman.
No, and I do agree. I'm like I said, that was to be my pick, but I knew at number 5 what it was going to be. So I had to go with something else. And, it's cool that we would have the same wavelength, the same ideas, but I want to make sure that we didn't for this. So as soon as we got to like 5, I'm like, I'm going to go with Justice League.
Do you have any honorable mentions before we finish this off?
I got 2.
Okay, actually. Go for it.
Batman 89.
Yep.
Because
the summer of Batman.
It was, Batman, Keaton, Nicholson. That's all you needed to know. Yeah. And people lined up.
Oh, yeah.
And then my other one was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original.
Those are the 2 that I had in my head for honorable mentions too. So that's amazing. Both of those movies were great, and they had their own standard setting moments, right? But I think the ones that I've chosen and the ones that you've chosen did that a little bit better. Keaton's Batman, I mean, it should be on the list, but it's not on my list. As much as I love that movie, I just, these other movies, I think, did different things. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Jamie, before we get out of here, you got anything else you want to say?
Yeah, guys, as always, be kind to one another. Comment, like, follow, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more of the content we got coming out, because we're going to have a lot. We got the schedule going. Same thing every week, and you guys keep tuning in. We're going to keep doing this, so I love every single one of you for it. We'll see you guys in the next one.
All right, and don't forget, guys, to follow us on all the social medias. That would be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, right here on YouTube, over there on Twitch. And you can also find us wherever podcasts are found, and that would be Spotify, iTunes Podcasts, or Apple Podcasts, and any other podcast platforms. We are there. All you have to do is type in the Codex Podcast or Codex Podcast, and you'll find us. Once again, guys, my name is Tim. This guy over here is Jamie. This is Breaking the Code, and you have a good one.